Hey there, Chris here, and welcome to day one of our $1 challenge. Thank you so much for joining, and I guarantee that this is going to be the best $1 you've ever spent. At the end of the week, what I want you to tell me is this the best $1 you've ever spent? My goal, my mission in life is to help people get the IELTS scores they need. And these $1 challenges, we only do them about every 6 months, and every time we do them they have a massive impact on students and a massive impact on their scores. So what we're going to do is show you exactly how to write a task 2 essay this week, and there are 3 letters that you need to be aware of. FTS. So let me explain what FTS means. So in order to explain what FTS means, I'm going to take you back to my very first day of teaching IELTS. So on my very first day of teaching IELTS, I knew nothing about IELTS. I knew nothing about the test. I was just a general English teacher. I was used to teaching kids mostly. And one day, the IELTS teacher in my school was sick. And they said, Chris, go and teach this IELTS thing. And I said, what is IELTS? And I went into the classroom, and what became very, very clear was 2 things. Number 1 was how important this test was. I was talking to the students and they were telling me that this test was going to help them go to university in England or get a job in Canada or move to Australia, and it was going to mean that they earn more money and they would be happier and their families were going to be more secure. And it was kind of a light bulb moment. It was like, wow, I've been wasting my time teaching, general English to 6 and 7-year-olds when I could actually have a huge impact on people's lives. So that was the first thing, and that really got me interested in IELTS. But the second thing was far more important. It was how confused the students were about what to do. So the teacher didn't really put a lot of effort into teaching the students. What he did was just teach from the book. So he would photocopy the pages of the book and hand them out to the students and go through it that way. The book wasn't very clear. It didn't tell the students exactly what to do. It was very, very vague. And this was another kind of light bulb moment, that there's this test that is life-changing but isn't being taught very, very well. And I went online and looked at materials online, and I found the same thing. A huge amount of confusing and conflicting information. Like one website said to do this and another website said to do something else. So what I decided to do was basically quit my job, get another job at the best IELTS school in the country where I was, and become the best IELTS teacher I could become. So I quickly rose up the ranks and started teaching students not from the book, but developing my own system, developing my own materials. And the school that I was working on actually kept a record of people's average scores, and the average score when I went into that course, which was the writing course, was about 5.6. And after I left it, it went up to 7.2, so a massive increase. And it wasn't because I had some sort of magic formula or like tips or tricks or secrets. It was the fact that I just sat down and figured out a system that was easy for the students to learn and easy for them to do on test day. And that is what I'm going to share with you this week, is a system. And you might have figured out what FTS means. I'll explain in a second. So after teaching there for a while, what I did was I started posting the lessons online. So just on my free blog, IELTS Advantage, and it was started off just as a class blog to help people catch up when they missed a class, and the response was really shocking to me. It started getting hit after hit and started getting really, really, really popular, and then after a while tens of thousands of people were visiting the website every single week. So I was able to quit my job and just focus on helping people through the website full time. But the problem with just having a free website was I wasn't able to give people direction. I wasn't able to give people feedback. I wasn't able to guide people in the way that they wanted to be guided. So what I did was I set up my online course, IELTS VIP, and that had a huge impact on students. I'm not bragging, I'm not saying this to show off, but if you do click on our website, you'll find more success stories than on any other website, IELTS website in the world. We've helped more people get the scores they need than anywhere else. And that's because people, FTS, follow the system. All right. So what we're going to be teaching you this week on the challenge is a system. All right. And the students on our VIP course, we've been doing this for more than 3 years now. The students who get the scores they need, FTS, they do the work and they follow the system. So we are going to be sharing some of those systems with you on the challenge. But two things are really, really important. Number one, you have to do the work. So you must complete the lessons, you must do the tasks, and you must look at the feedback that we give you. If you do those, you're going to have a huge impact on your scores. But you also must follow the system. We are going to give you a clear step-by-step system for these types of questions that we're going to be looking at this week. But the thing to remember is there's no one system that is a magic system that will guarantee that you get a high score. And there's no one way of writing an essay. There's multiple different ways that you could get a band 9. There's multiple different ways that you could get a band 7. So when you are looking at my stuff, please don't look at it and go, but my teacher said this, or my teacher said this, or this book says the opposite, or this other website says something different. Because what will happen is we will spend the whole challenge just debating about which system or which technique or which strategy is correct or not, when the answer to those questions is always there are many, many, many correct techniques and strategies and systems. There are many wrong ones as well. All I'm going to share with you are the ones that I believe are easy for you to implement and easy for you to use and are effective on test day. And there's a saying in English, the proof is in the pudding, which means look at the results. The results that we have, if you look at our website, you'll find more success stories than on any other website in the world. So that should tell you that we are very confident that what we're going to teach you this week works. But again, what you need to do is you need to complete the lessons, you need to complete the tasks, and you need to look at the feedback that we give. Do not squander, do not waste this opportunity to improve. You have the opportunity to really, really improve. We're here to give it to you. It's up to you to take that step and to walk the walk, as they say. So I'm going to jump into my computer now and let's get started with lesson 1. Alright guys, so let's get straight into lesson 1. So what are we going to do each of the 3 days? So our aim is to build up your knowledge to the point that you have the confidence to get a band 7 or above. Everyone we work with, that's the goal for all of our students. We show you the way, but you must walk the path. You must complete the lessons, do the tasks, and look at the feedback. And if you do that, you're going to see a massive improvement. So each day we're going to teach you a lesson at 1 p.m. UK time. So on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, there will be a lesson at 1 p.m. UK time. You can look at those lessons later than 1 p.m. if you want, and all of the lessons will be yours to keep forever. We've set you a challenge that you must complete. This is going to activate your knowledge. There's a big difference between watching a video and then doing something that the video teaches you. That is going to mean that you actually will learn. Just watching the videos will mean that you learn maybe 10% of them. If you look at the videos and do the tasks, you'll learn maybe 50%. But if you look at the feedback, you'll learn 100% or close to 100%. And we're going to give you feedback at 9 a.m. UK time the next morning. So the task today will be giving global feedback to everybody at 9 a.m. UK time tomorrow morning. But the faster you do the tasks, you are increasing your likelihood to get individual feedback. We're not going to be able to give individual feedback to everybody, so we're going to do it on a first come, first served basis. So the quicker you get it done, you're increasing your likelihood of getting that feedback. So there are 5 different types of question when it comes to IELTS writing task 2. opinion questions, discussion questions, problems and solution questions, advantages and disadvantages questions, and double questions. This week we will be focusing just on discussion questions. Why don't we do all of them? Well, if we did all of them, we would only be able to spend 20 minutes or 10 minutes on each of them, and you wouldn't learn any of them in that time. Instead of going very wide, we're going very deep on one of them to make sure that you totally understand what to do. At IELTS Advantage, we don't believe in teaching people in a very shallow way, in a very quick way. We believe in going very deep and giving you a deep understanding, because that is what you need and that's what works. So everything that we teach is going to be related to discussion questions, and you'll have to think about whether it applies to opinion questions, advantages and disadvantages questions, and the others, but most of it will not. Most of it will just focus on discussion questions. So there are 3 stages of writing an essay, and that's what we're going to focus on this week. First, you need to think about what you need to do. That's what we're going to do today. Then you need to write the essay, and then you need to check the essay. Now, you can't think and write and check all at the same time. So what we encourage our students to do, and what really works, is to do the thinking in the beginning. So the planning stage is where you do all of your thinking. Then you write the essay after you've done your thinking. And then once you've written your essay, you check it afterwards. You improve your grammar, your vocabulary, make sure everything is in order, everything is included. So today we're going to focus on the thinking stage, tomorrow the writing stage, and then on Wednesday the checking stage. So the thinking stage. Thinking stage is made up of 3 different elements. Number 1 is question analysis. So thinking about the question, thinking about what it is actually asking you to do. Idea generation, trying to think of ideas. And structure planning, taking a structure and inserting your ideas into that structure, and that will provide you with a map of exactly what to do during the writing stage. And the beauty of that means that you can focus completely on writing, and you don't have to worry about trying to think of ideas or the structure or developing those ideas, because you've done it all before you even start writing. So what we're going to do today in this lesson is look at each of these in a lot more detail. And we're going to look at this sample question. So in a number of countries, some people think it is necessary to spend large sums of money on constructing new railway lines for very fast trains between cities. Others believe the money should be spent on improving existing public transport. Discuss both views and give your opinion. So a discussion question. So we're going to use this question to guide us through. So feel free to pause the video and take a picture of this if you want, or note it down, because we'll be using this throughout the lesson. Okay, so question analysis. There are 3 elements to question analysis. And you probably noticed already that what we do with our students is we break things down into simple systems. Okay, so an essay has 3 parts. Each within that first part there are 3 elements, and within the first element of that question analysis there are 3 parts. So we make everything really simple and easy to understand so that you can apply it on test day. So the first element of question analysis is understanding what the question is actually asking you, because many people just immediately start to think of ideas. And if you do not understand the question, obviously your ideas are going to be wrong. If your ideas are wrong, your essay is going to be wrong. So one of the major mistakes that we see every day is we go through maybe 1,000 essays a month, correcting them for students when we're working with our students. And one of the common mistakes that we see every time is just basically not answering the question. The starting point for answering the question properly is understanding the question. So the 2 questions you should be asking yourself are, what is the overall topic of the question? What's the general topic? And number 2, what are the specific things they want us to think about? So the first question there, what is the overall topic? You're not going to write about the overall topic. You're not going to write generally about everything related to that topic. But you need to understand what that topic is so that you can drill down into the specifics and talk about that, because that is what they want you to talk about, the specific things. We're going to look at this in a lot more detail as with everything, so don't worry if you don't completely understand that. Number 2, what do they want? What do they specifically want you to do? Do they want you to give your opinion, talk about advantages and disadvantages, discuss both views, give your opinion, talk about problems, talk about solutions, just directly respond to the question? What do they want you to do? Because if you don't do what they want you to do, your answer is wrong. And then break it down. Break the question down into simple parts. Make everything as simple as possible. Keep it simple is something my students hear me say over and over and over again. And you might look at that and be like, Chris, I don't have time to do all of this. You will. Once you start following the system, this will become a very, very quick process. You can do this in 1 minute, and it's actually going to save you a huge amount of time because you won't be thinking about it while you are writing. So let's look at each of those 3 steps in a lot more detail. Again, going deeper into the system. So let's look at the question. So if you look at this question, what's the main topic? The main topic is transportation. So should you write everything you know about railways and public transport and all of those things? You might think that that would be a silly thing to do, but a huge number of students, that's exactly what they would do. But they're not asking you to write everything you know about transportation. They want you to discuss the specific things within the question. So what are the specific things? And those are high-speed rail, existing public transport, and money. Alright, so very fast trains, high-speed rail, public transport, and money being spent on that. So that your essay should only talk about these things, not transportation in general, not normal railways, high-speed rail, not general transportation, public transportation within the context of money. If you do that, you are well on your way to answering the question properly. But most people, when they read a question like this, just look at it and think, oh, let's just talk generally about everything. But you're not doing that. You're focusing on the specifics. But that's just step 1, understanding. Next is, what do they want us to do? So each question is going to have a general, let me get my pen up here. It's going to have a general statement. But then it's also going to have instructions. So these are your instructions. This is what they want you to do, and you must do them. So what do they want you to do? First, why do some people believe view 1? So the first view, here's the first view. Why do some people believe that? Second view, why do some people believe this? This is the second view. Okay. And what do you think? Because what does it say? Discuss both views, and give your opinion. So it's asking you to do 3 different things. Discuss this view, discuss that view, and tell me what you think as well. Okay? And if you do that, again, you are giving yourself a very, very good chance of answering the question. What do most people do? Most people discuss maybe one view, or maybe discuss both views but don't give their opinion, or maybe give their opinion and discuss neither of the views. You must do all 3 of those things, and we're going to show you tomorrow how you would develop your answers and do all those things, and we're going to show you the structure you would use today. Step 3, break it down. So how are you going to break it down? Write it in very simple language, taking what you've understood about the question and what they want you to do. Some people think that money should be spent on new railway lines for fast trains. Some people think that money should be spent on existing public transport. Breaking it down into very simple, easy to understand language and thinking about it in a very simple, easy to understand way. This might sound like, oh, that's obvious. The vast majority of people do not do this. They look at the question and they're very confused about what to do, and your writing is a reflection of your thinking. If your thinking is confused, your writing is going to be confused. Okay? So let's recap on the thinking stage. We've looked at question analysis, Now we need to look at idea generation. So we've only covered the first part. So it takes quite a while to get through these things, and you might be thinking, "Oh, this is just so much stuff." Yes, it is. It's in order to get the score that you need to understand these things. But once you understand them, think about anything else you've done in life. When you first start looking at it, it can be confusing, but when you go through it and when you learn it, then think about learning how to drive a car, for example. It seemed very, very complicated at the beginning, and now it's as easy as putting on your shoes and tying your laces. Now we're going to look at the second part of the thinking stage, which is idea generation, and then we're going to look at structure planning. So idea generation, again, systemizing it, breaking it down into 3 different parts. Okay, so number 1, why would someone think that? Alright, so remember, some people think this, some people think that, some people think we should do high-speed trains, some people think we should spend our money on public transport. Why would someone think that? So we're not brainstorming, because brainstorming would be a complete waste of time. You don't write the question in the middle of a piece of paper and think of as many different ideas as possible. You just ask yourself one question. Why would someone think that? And normally the first idea that pops into your head is the best one. When you think of that idea, run it through a little filter. The filter you should be running it through is it logical? Does it make sense? Is it obvious? Would many people agree with that? Would many people say that? If you asked 100 people, would most of them say that answer? And is it straightforward? Will it be easy for you to explain that to someone? If it's logical, it makes sense, it's obvious, most people would agree that is something, and it's straightforward, it's easy for you to use, then that is probably a good idea. But the last thing you need to think about before you accept that idea as one that you want to go with, is that something I know enough about to explain and support with an example? Because as we will look at tomorrow, this is something that you need to do. You need to explain that idea, and you need to support that idea with an example. Every idea you use must be well developed. That's what it states in the official marking criteria. That's what the examiners are going to be looking for. So it doesn't matter if you think of a great idea and you're like, yes, it is logical, it is obvious, and it is straightforward, but I don't know how to explain it and I can't think of an example. If that's the case, go back here, go back to stage 1, try and think of another idea. What would be another reason why someone would think that? Running through here, yep, I know, and then you can go with that idea. And this process takes me 10 seconds. It takes my students 20 or 30 seconds. It might take you 1 minute. And it is a skill that you need to develop. Once you develop this skill and you need to practice doing this, it becomes pretty much instantaneous for you to think of an idea. So many of you email me and say, I've no idea how to think of ideas. I can't generate ideas. For discussion questions, follow that system. It's a bit different for opinion questions or any other types of questions. For discussion questions, why would someone think that? Alright, because remember, you're discussing other people's ideas. You're trying to think of what other people are going to say. So for this one, the first one, so let's have a look at here. The first side. So some people think this. Why would some people think that? Why would some people think that? Some people think that money should be spent on new railway lines for fast trains because it reduces the journey time for commuters. So this idea, if you walked out of my office and spoke to 100 people and said to 100 people, why do some people think that high-speed trains are a good idea? Tell me the first idea that comes into your head. 90 of them would say, well, they're faster. It reduces journey times. Okay? You do not need to think of a fancy, intellectual, high-level idea. You need to think of an idea that actually answers the question. And I disagree with this side. This is my opinion. Remember, there are 3 things that you need to do. Discuss view 1, discuss view 2, and give your opinion. And my opinion is, I disagree with this. We'll look at this in a lot more detail tomorrow about showing your opinion and how to give it. Idea generation 2. So that's my first idea. What's my second idea? Remember, we're looking at this. Public transport. Some people think that money should be spent on existing public transport because it benefits a greater number of people. Public transport, you can get more people onto existing public transport and help more people than building new trains. That seems pretty obvious, and I agree with this side. Okay? Now, what is a good technique after you do this, once you think through this, is show people, when you're practicing, show people your ideas on paper. So these are my ideas on paper. You're probably not going to do this in the real test, but I just want to show you what my ideas look like. So this is kind of looking into my brain. Here's what people think. Here's why I think they think that. Here's my opinion. Here's what people think. Here's why people think that. And here's my opinion. Okay? And this can be done in my brain in the first 1 minute of looking at the question. Think about the question. What are they specifically asking me to do? Why would people think that? Note it down. What do I think about that? Note it down. So everything I need, all my ideas, are here already. And this could just be very quick notes, on a piece of paper, planning everything out and doing this in the first 1 or 2 minutes. Again, if this is the first time you've ever thought this way, don't worry, alright? It does not need to be any more complicated than this. But this is a very simple system, but even simple systems take a little bit of time to get used to and to think about. So now we're going to look at the third stage. So we've looked at question analysis, we've done that. We've looked at idea generation, we've done that. And this is like the first 2 minutes. Okay, so we've been talking about this for nearly 20 minutes. But in the test, it's going to take you 1 to 2 minutes. But you need to go through and follow this system and learn this system if you're going to, get the scores that you need. Third part of the thinking stage is structure planning. Alright, so we're going to look at the structure for a discussion question and how we use structures during the planning. Structures are more used during the planning than the actual writing. We'll look at that in a second. So, ideas and structure. If you have bad ideas, it does not matter how good your structure is. Alright? Don't think that a structure is kind of a magic solution to your problems. Garbage in, garbage out. If you put garbage in, if you put rubbish into a system, you're going to get rubbish out of a system. But if you put good ideas into a good structure, you're going to write a good essay. If you have a poor structure, it does not matter how good your ideas are. So if you have a poor system, it doesn't matter what information you feed into that system, no matter how good it is, because the system is going to, fail. Then what you need is a good structure and good ideas. Imagine baking a cake with poor ingredients or a bad recipe. It doesn't matter how good your ingredients are. If you have a bad recipe, you're going to bake a terrible cake. Or even if you have a really good recipe but terrible ingredients, the cake is going to be probably even worse. But if you have good ingredients and a good recipe, then you're in good shape. So, what are structures not good for? They are not a magic bullet. What does a magic bullet mean? Many students think that following a structure means that they are guaranteed to get a good band. That's nonsense. That's like saying if you follow a good recipe for baking a cake, but your ingredients are bad, or the chef has very poor skills, you're going to bake a good cake. You need many different things to write a good essay. You need good grammar, you need good vocabulary, you need a good structure, you need good ideas, and you need good writing skills. A structure will help you in the same way that a good recipe will help you build or bake a cake, but it's only one element. And there's no such thing as one correct structure. Please, 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 please do not comment below this video, "My teacher teaches a different structure." Fine, there are many correct structures. Or this other book, or IELTS whoever on their website says, their structure is correct. If your teacher tells you there is only one correct structure, they don't know what they're talking about. There are many correct ways of doing things. Two students could use the exact same structure, and one could get a band 5 and the other could get a band 9. Alright, it doesn't matter so much about which structure you use, it's putting all the elements together. So why use structures at all then? Well, it allows you to organize your thoughts. So you're going to have all of these ideas and explanations and examples all going through your head. It is a very good idea to write these down inside a structure, and that's going to help you with the thinking stage, get all of your thoughts clearly on paper, and then you can transfer them into your essay. And it's a checklist of things you need to do. So we're going to be talking about topic sentences and explanations and examples and all of these different things that you need to have in there. So it's kind of a checklist to make sure that you have all the essential elements that the examiner is looking for. And it creates a map for your answer. You might have seen the success stories from our VIP course, and one of the things that nearly every successful student talks about in those videos is how planning really helped them. And they talk about it acting like Google Maps for their essay. So they knew exactly where to go. It just took them through exactly what to write, and it's no wonder why nearly every one of our successful students, when we say what was the biggest difference between you before you were struggling and you might have been on a 6 or 6.5, and then after you joined us, and what was the big difference that helped you get to a band 7 or a band 7.5 or 8, 8.5 or even 9? Every single one of them talks about planning and about structure planning and the idea generation techniques that we share in this video. So you should have a defined structure for each type of essay. So we're going to show you the one for discussion in this video. You can take your ideas, explanations, examples, etc. and insert them into your structure. And this means you can focus on writing after you finish planning. Note that using a structure does not replace the need for everything else you must do. You must learn how to write a topic sentence and an explanation and an example, and we're looking at that tomorrow. You must improve your grammar. You must improve your vocabulary and learn how to use it properly and learn how to check your answers. The structure is important, but not the only piece of the puzzle. So here's the basic paragraph structure for discussion S. Paragraph 1 is your introduction. Paragraph 2, side you disagree with. Paragraph 3, side you agree with. Now, many of you might be like, do I have to do disagree here and do I have to do agree here? You don't have to, but it's far simpler for you to just follow the system, a system that actually works, than to get into a debate about that, because you're just wasting time and you're confusing yourself and confusing everybody else. Paragraph 4, conclusion. So very basic paragraph structure. Introduction first, conclusion at the end, 2 main body paragraphs, and you're going to take the side you disagree with first and then the side you agree with second. You can mix and match them, you can do whatever you want, but I'm just going to show you the system that has helped more people get the scores they need than any other system. So if you want to follow it, follow it. If you don't, don't. Alright, so let's look at the introduction first. So let's look deeper into each of these. Let's look at each of these in a lot more detail. Number 1, you're going to paraphrase the question. So this is the first thing that you're going to do. Number 2, state reason why some people believe the side you disagree with. Number 3, state reason why some people believe the side you agree with. So paraphrase the question. First idea, second idea. That's basically it. Alright, don't worry too much about this at the moment. You might be confused about it, or it might not be very clear, but we're going to go through everything in much more detail. But this is the basics of it, and this is not 3 separate sentences. These are 3 elements. So you're going to paraphrase the question, and then you're going to do this, and then you're going to do that. That might be 2 sentences, it might be 3, depending on the question, but these are the basic things you're going to do, and we'll show you examples of real introductions and everything in a second, so that you fully understand this. So, some people think that money should be spent on new railways. I disagree with this. So remember, we talked about 10 minutes ago about this is the basic plan that was in my head, and I put it on paper. So we're going to take this and transfer this into an introduction using these elements. So we're taking these elements, taking this information that is in our head, and putting it into an introduction. So here's the question, here's the introduction. Many people believe substantial funds should be diverted to the construction of high-speed train tracks, while others say there should be more investment in the current public transportation system. While investing in faster trains would cut journey times, this essay believes that more of the population would benefit from expenditure on buses, trams, and underground rail. So let's break it down. The bit in red, paraphrasing the question, taking the question and paraphrasing it. The bit in brown here is the first view. The bit in black is the second view. So if we look at it here, go back, paraphrase the question, state reason why some people believe the side you disagree with, then the one you agree with. Okay, so paraphrase question, this is the bit that I disagree with, this is the bit that I agree with. All right, again, you might look at this for the first time and be like, oh, how do I do this? Or is this going to be really difficult for me to do? Don't worry about it. What makes it much easier is if you actually do these things and get feedback on them. So you try them, then I say, this is what you're doing well, this is what you're not doing so well, and everything becomes much, much, much easier. To go back to the analogy of learning how to drive a car, you can't read a book on how to drive a car and then immediately go and pass your test. You need to sit beside an instructor and then to give you feedback on what you're doing well and what you're not doing so well, and then you learn the thing. So let's look at the structure in a lot more detail for the main body paragraph. So main body paragraph 1, topic sentence, explanation, so 1 to 3 sentences on why other people believe this. Remember, we're discussing other people's views. Number 3, an example to support that. And number 4, your opinion. So here, 1, 2, and 3, this is what other people think. Then number 4, this is what you think. Again, we'll look at this in more detail and give you examples. Okay, so here's a sample for main body 1. In black, we have our topic sentence. So our topic sentence says, hello, Mr. Reader or Mrs. Reader, whoever's reading this paragraph. This is my main idea. This is what the whole paragraph is about. New lines allowing trains to travel in excess of 100 miles per hour would shorten the commute for many. So telling you exactly what it's about. Then the bit in red is my explanation. What does the explanation do? The explanation explains to the reader how your main idea answers the question. This is because the increased speed would allow them to get to their destination more quickly, therefore allowing people who live far away from major cities to find employment in these hubs of commerce. This would mean commuters could leave their home for work in the morning and return early in the evening. So very, very simple, simply telling the reader what it's all about. Then in orange, for example, the British government has plans to build a HS2 network between London and the Midlands in the next few years. So you're using a real example. In the UK, this is very famous, it's in the news all the time, but I'm sure in your country there are lots of plans to build high-speed rail networks. Nearly every country that's happening. So you could use a real example, or you could use an example from another country, or whatever you can think of to help support your answer. However, this essay disagrees with this viewpoint because it would be a misallocation of resources. All right, and this was actually written by one of my VIP students. All right, this is not my essay. This is something produced by someone who was struggling to get a band 7 they were getting a 6.5 over and over and over again, and we helped them with this, and this is the level that they produced. So the bit in blue here is your opinion, okay? So this is what people think. In blue, this is what I think, all right? Structure for main body 2 is exactly the same, except you're giving your opinion and you agree with this one in here. So again, many of you are saying, like, can I agree in the first one or can I disagree? You can, but you're making it just much more difficult for yourself and more difficult for the reader. So you're following the exact same basic structure. Let's have a look here and see what is we're going to put for a conclusion. So a conclusion, summarize your 2 main points, so both sides, and reiterate, state your opinion. Again, make this very, very clear. The examiner will be looking for your opinion to be very, very clear in the conclusion. So let's have a look at the overall plan. So in our introduction, we're going to paraphrase the question, and then we're going to state why people believe one side and why people believe the other side. And what I've done here in red is put in my ideas. So the ideas that I would put in here, I would put this. So this is what my plan would look like. Or if one of my students was doing the test, this is what their plan would look like. The bit in blue doesn't change. So the bit in blue, if you get a discussion question, this is always going to be the same. So you know exactly what to do. The bit in red will change depending on the questions or depending on your ideas. So these are the ideas we're going to use here. Main body paragraph 1 is the disagree paragraph. Topic sentence, explanation, example, and opinion. So again, the bit in blue doesn't change. If you get a discussion question, it's going to stay the same over and over and over again. So you know exactly what to do. So how amazing would it be if whatever happens in the test, you know exactly what to do. It doesn't matter what question comes up. It doesn't matter what happens on test day. You have a structure that enables you to tackle any question in exactly the same way. The bit in red, these are our ideas, so these are going to change depending on the question. And what I've done here is just create a structure plan. So this is what we call our structure plan, and we would write this out before doing the writing on test day. If we look at the rest of the structure, main body paragraph 2, agree, and we've put in here more people, greater benefit, the tube in London, so the underground system in London, and we agree with this. And then the conclusion, we're going to summarize our main ideas and reiterate our opinion. Okay, so how useful would this be on test day? This acts as a map for your preparation. You know exactly what you're going to do on test day. You know exactly what you're going to write. So just to recap, the 3 stages to planning are question analysis, idea generation, and structure planning. So as mentioned before, this is the thinking stage before we put our pen to paper and we start writing our essay. We analyze the question, we generate ideas, and then we populate those ideas into our structure. How easy would that be? Now, let's give you a challenge. Here's a different question. It's a discuss both views question. It's a discussion question. Read this question, look at the question, FTS, follow the system, and create a structured plan. And I want you to post it below this video. So what is your plan going to look like? So you're going to follow the system by reading the question, analyzing the question, generating your ideas, and then below this video in the comments section, you're going to use the structure that I gave you here. So this structure, so this slide, so your structure is going to look exactly the same as this, except the bits in red are going to be addressing the question that we just set you. You're not going to be copying this, you're not going to be copying the bit in red, you're going to be coming up with your own stuff. You're going to write the introduction, main body paragraph 2, and your conclusion. Just like this, you are not writing paragraphs, you're not writing the essay yet, because we haven't taught you how to write an essay yet. This is just showing you the thinking stage, and I want you to demonstrate to me that you understand how to do that, and you can go through the system and follow the system. And then tomorrow we're going to look at how to develop our main points. So just to state again, look at this question, follow the system, the whole system. You can look back and make notes, and if you didn't understand anything, you can watch the video again and then create a structured plan, exactly the same as I have done for the other question, and post it below this video, and then we will give you feedback. And here's some guidance. This is all part of a multi-step process. You must complete each part. So watch the videos, complete the tasks, look at the feedback. Don't overthink things, just keep it simple. If you are like, well, my teacher said to do it this and another book said to do it this way, and can I agree with both sides, or can I agree with you're making it way more complicated than it needs to be. Your enemy is complexity. You need to simplify your thinking. Remember, your writing is going to be a reflection of your thinking. If you overcomplicate everything and you worry about things that you do not need to worry about, that means that you are not worrying about what is important, which is producing a good essay. The quicker you complete the task, the more likely you are to get individual feedback. So the way that the feedback works, I will give individual feedback to the people who do the tasks the quickest. I cannot guarantee that I will give individual feedback to everybody because I can't work 24 hours a day, but we will give individual feedback to as many people as possible, and then we will give global feedback, so looking at everybody's work. What were the good ideas, what were the not so good ideas, what were the common problems, what were the common mistakes, and you'll really learn from that as well. Post below this video only. Please don't email it to me, please don't send it to me on Messenger, please don't write it in a letter, just post it below this video, please. Thank you. See you tomorrow at 9 a.m. for the feedback lesson, and that is going to be a live lesson at 9 a.m. So if you want to come along at 9 a.m. and ask me any questions, no problem at all. I'll be live and answering questions and giving feedback. And then tomorrow at 1 p.m. will be lesson 2, where we will be showing you how to develop your main ideas and write main body paragraphs. Thank you very much, guys. Hope you enjoyed that first lesson, and see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.